a video on this bit of back bacon that I made. So I made this. I had some leftover pork from a function, and instead of just cooking the joint, I kind of thought, what I'll do is I'll make some back bacon. So it's pork loin, so it's back as in loins are on the back of a pig, so therefore back bacon. So it turned out well. A little bit too sweet, but I used my normal bacon curing mixture, which is half salt, half sugar, and I should have used maybe a third sugar, no, a quarter sugar to 3/4 salt. But anyway, and I was going to use this as my Christmas bacon, but I'm decided that I'm going to make some bacon. So this is surplus to requirements, and I thought to myself, well, we should do something with it. My sister's coming over tomorrow, so what I thought I'd do is there's something else I want to do. So I thought what we'll do is we'll cook this, and we'll cook it like a gammon joint in some water. I'd normally soak gammon bacon to what we call it, to release some of the salt from it, but I don't think that needs this. That needs this. This needs that. So I've just come in from gardening. So my mind is in different places. So I don't think it needs soaking, but we will tie it up so it keeps its shape a little bit better. And then we'll just poach it in some water slowly for a few hours until it's nice and tender, and then we'll let it go cold. So how are we going to do this? So right, so cut a length of string, and then we don't need to know fancy butcher's knots. What we can do is, so simple knot, go round again and round again, pull it tight, and then there'll be enough tension in that knot that we can just flip it round like that, and then we don't need someone else to hold the knot for us. We can just simply do that, and it'll keep it tight enough. And then we'll just do another one, because I always think it's important to explain things at least twice. A butcher once tried to show me how to do a butcher's knot, and he was so used to doing it so fast that he couldn't slow it down to teach an idiot like me how to do it. So no fancy butcher's knots, just go round once, round again, and then round again, pull tight, and then twist it round, and then there'll be enough tension there to hold it fast for a little while, or we can just quickly do a knot, and then that's that. So that'll just keep it in a bit of a better shape. I don't think we need to go around any further. And then into a pan, cover it with cold water, off camera, because we haven't got a camera over the sink. But you can hear me, I'm definitely running the tap, or am I having a wee? Who knows? So I don't think ham cooked in urine would be very nice. Dirty cooker as always, because I was slicing bread on top of the cooker yesterday. So gas on, slowly bring it up to the boil, and then a really slow simmer until it's super tender. What we will do is we'll taste the water that it's cooking in after an hour, and if it's a little bit too salty, what we can do is we can either put more water in, or we can take some of the water out and replace it with fresh water, just if it's a little bit too salty. I don't think it will be. I personally have found that the gammon and hams that you buy can be a little bit too salty, whereas if we make them ourselves, we can control the amount of salt in them. So yes, and they are, so this was so I put this in a vacuum sealed bag, one of those machines that sucks all the air out of plastic bags and then seals them. So I cured it and put it in the bag, and then where was I going with this? Yes, so that was the way I cured it. But a lot of commercial ways of curing bacon and ham joints and gammons is what they do is they inject it with a saline solution. So they inject it with a salt and water mixture, like a brine, inject it into the pork so it gets right into the center. Whereas and it'll almost instantaneously cure it. Not instantaneously, but like kind of quite quickly. Whereas mine took 3 weeks in the cure for the salt to get all the way through. So it won't be as, it'll be more salty on the outside of the joint than on the inside. Whereas commercially bought ones, I'll be salty all the way through. So you need to soak. I personally find you have to soak them. Some people say you don't. I think you do. But anyway, so up to boil. Slow simmer. 2, maybe 3 hours. We're not in a rush. If we cook it quickly, it will boil, and it will boil itself to bits, and it will become not tough, but it becomes stringy. That's not what we want. We want it nice and soft. And then we'll do something fun with the stock and with the fat on it as well. And then we'll give most of it to my sister and my brother-in-law, because they'll enjoy that for their lunches and sandwiches and salads for next week. And then I'll be able to do something else with a bit of ham that's left. So this has had quite a long time, actually. I turned it over in the water. I had to add more water as well because it wanted to puff up. Well, changed its shape anyway. So, as you can see, that it's changed shape, isn't it? It was long and flat, and now it's plumptious. So, skewer in, and then easily wants to fall off the skewer. What we're going to do is we're going to leave it in that stock to cool down. So, it's still hot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a bowl of water, cold water, and then that will it will speed up the cooling down process because the heat will be dissipated into the cold water. That's it. It'll be dissipated into the cold water, and then by leaving it in the stock, it will retain moisture as well. So if you pull it out the stock now, we'll get lots of steam evaporating off the meat joint, and that will be lost moisture, which we don't want that. So if we let it cool down in the stock, it will retain moisture. So into a bowl, cold water, and then in the fridge overnight, and then we'll have a look at it in the morning. I can't be bothered wait for tomorrow morning. I'm going to carve it on a plate and try not to make washing up. I don't want to have to faff around with the board again. So I should have got a knife out, shouldn't I? Yes, but I forgot. So looks well. Feels a bit hard actually. Feels a bit hard. We'll cut into the other side. Do I need a sharper knife? Probably. Oh no, we're getting into it. Oh, that's lovely and pink. That's lovely and pink considering we didn't use any chemicals. So, a long time ago when I worked in proper restaurants, we used to make a parfait for a starter, and they used to put saltpeter in it to keep the parfait pink, which it was banned in the UK with saltpeter for whatever reason, but they used to smuggle it in somehow, I presume from France. What is it? You're not supposed to have too much of it in your body. It's one of those things that accumulates in your body. Your body doesn't naturally get rid of it. So if you have too much of this saltpeter, it just kind of like accumulates and slowly poisons you, I'm guessing. But anyway, so that's lovely and pink, is that? That's lovely and pink. How does it taste? Feels nice and soft. That's just falling apart, isn't it? It's lost that saltiness. Make it a little bit too salty and sweet. That's lovely, is that? I mean, essentially, it's nearly 3 weeks. So it's nearly had 3 weeks air drying. So it's a Saturday today, it was a Sunday when I started air drying it. So I had like 3 weeks of air drying. Now, I've got a cloth somewhere. Oh, I need to find a cloth. So, if we think about preserving things, if you had a piece of pork in the fridge for 6 weeks, it would have gone off. So, in essence, we've prolonged its shelf life by 5 weeks. Did a bite on the day? Yeah. So the butchers get their pigs in, pig carcasses from the abattoir in on a Thursday sometime, and then they process them on the late. Well, if they've got time on the Thursday, and then on the Friday. So I bought it on the Friday. So it was almost kind of like fresh pork. It might have been hung up in the abattoir for maybe a day before it came back to the farm shop. So, and then I cured it on the Sunday. So, by curing it and then air drying it, we've extended its life by 5 weeks. It was dead, but its shelf life by 5 weeks, and that's still very nice. So we can cure things at home and still have delicious things. So if you decided that you wanted to buy a whole loin of pork, because it's cheaper to buy whole loins of pork, you could cure it and air dry it, and you wouldn't have to freeze it, and you still have something delicious. So that'll make really nice sandwiches, and it would have been almost could have been like a Sunday joint as well. And I'm going to give most of it to my sister, and they will have it in sandwiches and salads throughout the week as an ingredient and other kind of things. So that works. That's a success. I've greased my hands up again. Now, my only slight concern. Oh yeah, and I'm going to do something else with it. With a bit that I saved. I certainly think tying it up was a good idea. Now, my only concern is this ham stock. I don't think this will taste just particularly amazing. No, it's okay. I don't know. I tasted it before, and I didn't think it was great tasting, but that's okay. That we'll be able to use that for something as well. So that will make skim the fat off the top of it, and then use the fat on like roast potatoes or frying something, and then the stock underneath, use it for like a soup, which I think I'm going to do. I saw something interesting on Instagram, or like a reel or whatever, that was kind of interesting, and I think we're going to faff around with something like that. So that's a success. That's delicious. So I've just cut into this to kind of portion it up, and it is so juicy on the inside. Is that's whoops, a slippery as well. Slippery sucker. Look at that. That's so juicy on the inside. That'll be down to cooling it down in the. I have to take a slice from the inside, and we'll give it a taste from the inside. That will be cooling it down in the stock, all that. But also it's been cured, so it's almost like brining it, and brining makes things super juicy. So how does the inside taste? That's delicious. That's delicious. Kind of ignore what I said in the start of this video, not at the start of this video, but at the end of when I cut into it. Ignore that. That's delicious. But we're just obviously tasting the outside because I didn't want to ruin it. But the inside of that's delicious. That's really well worth doing. So, like if you've got the time and you've got the inkling, get yourself a big chunk of pork and cure it for 3 weeks and then dry it for 2 weeks and then poach it like that, and you will have this delicious bit of gammon bacon joint. Yeah, that's staggeringly amazing. That's staggeringly amazing. That's so much nicer than anything you could buy. Imagine if you could go somewhere and buy that. You'd have queues out the door. Anyway, so that's delicious. That's a success. But also, I was kind of thinking what I should have added at the end of the other video about this stock. It's cookie vegetables in that. So we could have cooked some vegetables while that was cooking. We could have thrown in some big chunky carrots and some big lumps of celery and maybe a few leeks or swedes or turnips or anything like, or some celeriac, some root vegetables, and then those vegetables would take up the flavour of the stock, so they would absorb flavour, and in return they would give their flavour back to the stock, and then you would end up with a delicious stock which you could use for, you could just drink it, which would be lovely, because the vegetables would take away some of the saltiness, and or you could use it in the basis for soups or stews or a gravy or something like that, or the basis of a sauce to put with the gammon stroke ham stroke bacon. But that's delicious as that. I don't think there's anything more to be added. I don't think it could be improved. I think, do you know, if you had family coming over, this video might be before Christmas, so we really should do it. I should publish it now, so it's ready for Christmas. But if you did that, if you had family coming over for celebrations over the holidays, well, you don't necessarily have to celebrate Christmas, but like Easter celebrations or something like that, and serve it like that, slices of it, big thick slices, and it's slightly cooled, and the vegetables cooked in that. It'd be like a pot au feu, which is a French dish, which has like different cuts of meat, sometimes like a whole chicken, and like a gammon or a ham joint or some bacon joint, and some maybe some sausages, depending on which part of France it's from, and vegetables in there as well, and you can have it and you can serve it all together, and that you'd do that. And if you served that, and then make a bit of a piquant sauce, so something like a mustard sauce using the stock and a roux and maybe a little bit of milk or cream, actually some cream, because the milk would let it down and you'd lose the flavour of this stock. So some cream, so make a roux, add the stock, add some cream, mix it all around, add in some mustard to give it a bit of a bite. So add your mustard of choice, not too much English mustard though, because English mustard's got a bit too much of a kick to it, but like a grain mustard or a Dijon mustard or a German mustard, not hot dog mustard, but something like that to give it a bit of a kick, and then some nice chopped fresh parsley through it as well. That would be delicious. And if someone served me that, if I was going around to their house and someone served me that, I would think they were amazing. That's lovely. I think my sister's going to be very pleased with that.